In this video, I was thinking we could do a deep dive on the main skill Ingredient Magnet S because I have got a lot of questions about this in the comments and on Discord, and so I think it's about time that we cover this. Ingredient Magnet S is a bit of a tricky main skill to really figure out, and I don't blame you. I've done a lot of mistakes with this one myself, and I think overall, now that I've been playing this game for, well, basically since the start, I lost out on 1 or 2 days or something because I live in Norway, but here we are. So the Ingredient Magnet S subskill has 3 Pokemon where they have it as their main skill as skill specialists. And one of the things that I keep emphasizing in my videos is if you have a berry specialist, look for berries. If you have an ingredient finding Pokemon, look for the ingredient list and that ingredient drop, not the Ingredient Magnet S. And we'll get that covered in this video. I'll go through every single Pokemon that has the Ingredient Magnet S. And if you have skill specialists, for the most part, you want to go for the skill. And there are a few exceptions. I find that berry specialists are very straightforward. Find the good berry specialists, get BFS, put them on your team. Ingredient specialists are a little bit more convoluted, but even those have a nice like puzzle piece dynamic where if you have one Pokemon with potatoes, you don't need another one if it's doing its job, unless it's a rare ingredient. So there's a bit more nuance. And then when it comes to the skill specialists, it's like, what do you even do here? Because there are so many of them and there are only a limited amount of main skill seeds and it just gets complicated. But I think I should be able to properly discuss and give you some guidance on Ingredient Magnet S in this video. So with that lengthy intro, let's get into it. Your main Ingredient Magnet S Pokemon is going to be Vaporeon. The reason for that is if we head into the comparison here, for some reason I have Swalot here left over from the other video. That was not intentional. I'll fix it immediately, don't worry about it. We have Heracross. Obviously also, just very quickly, we do have Eevee. Eevee has a decent skill rate drop. You can see 5.5%. So if you really wanted to, you could potentially even run Eevee. It is super slow, don't get me wrong, but like for example, if you do have Eevee as your favorite Pokemon, the difference here is not that big. You do miss out on a bit of the speed. As you evolve Eevee into Vaporeon, you also lose out on 1 level of this Ingredient Magnet. But overall, if you have Eevee as a very like special Pokemon to you, it does actually work with the Ingredient Magnet. So it's an honorable mention, but obviously when you look at the numbers here and also consider that you can evolve into the Vaporeon, for the meta relevance, I would definitely recommend the Vaporeon. Then the only other skill specialist at this time that does have the Ingredient Magnet S is Heracross. I don't like Heracross. It's a single stage evolution. It is super rare, at least for now. If there is a bug poison forest area coming at some point where Heracross is more abundant, then potentially looking for a Heracross could make sense. The only problem is, if you look at the Vaporeon, it's not particularly fast, but it's not slow either. I would find the 50 mark here to be decent if the skill rate is high. And you can see the skill rate is more than high. It's roughly 25% faster or more frequent in terms of the skill trigger. And Heracross is not 25% faster in terms of the overall speed. And so it beats it out in both areas. And not only that, Vaporeon can evolve. So you start the Ingredient Magnet S at level 2. And the values here, if you are curious, I don't have a drop down or widget for this. It is 6, 8, 11, so kind of jumps by 2 or 3 at a time. 11, 14, 17, 21, and my guess is level 7 will be 25, but we'll just have to see on that. So for the most part, the Ingredient Magnet S is Vaporeon's job. I am curious to see if potentially Suicune will have this main skill as well, and maybe it'll have some additional bonuses or bonus ingredients depending on how many water types you have. That one we don't know at all, but we'll just have to see. I'll make a separate Suicune video if that ever happens. The other thing to consider here is the randomness of this main skill. That does make it a little bit tricky because there are 16 ingredients, and if you are looking to cook a dish, you mostly want to cook the same dish over and over again to increase the cooking bonus of that dish. When you are cooking and make a dish and get a dish bonus, as far as I know, that bonus on the dish only applies to the specific ingredients that the dish requires. If you add any extra ingredients in, you're just gonna get that base value. So no multiplier. If you add a bunch of cacao, that's gonna be a high value. Honey is gonna be a low value, but no bonus. So for the most part, you want to cook dishes more or less that have the exact number of ingredients that you want, and then a big as dish as possible. And then you have the Dedenne and you have the Flareons where you can do some funny things, especially on Sunday. But the main point here is Ingredient Magnet S will give you a random set of ingredients. Another thing is it's actually not random in the beginning. It's still random, but you can't get just any ingredient. You need to have the ingredient unlocked in your game, and you do that by just finding it. So if you go into the notes here, and we can go onto the ingredients, any Pokemon that is not visible here, that has a question mark for you, it cannot be found by the Ingredient Magnet S. Honorable mentions, Slowpoke Tail. It's an important ingredient. It is the highest value ingredient, and we can go back into the expansion here. If I'm not mistaken, we have Slowpoke Tail on the number 1, and then we have Leeks, and then we have Cacao. I wonder where corn is. It's like 149, something like that. 140. Yeah, so these are the top 3 ingredients in terms of just value. And I will cover the Slowpoke Tail as an ingredient in an ingredient deep dive video, so we'll get back to that. But for the most part, it is the tails that you want on the Vaporeon even. And just, I guess, a random mix of things, because the skill trigger rate here is phenomenal. It's one of the highest in the games, or in the game. So used to the main series. So you will find a tremendous amount of ingredients with this Vaporeon. Probably, I would say if you have level 6 main skill, it should trigger between 3, maybe 2, upwards of like 6 every day. Maybe 8 if you're super lucky, but it depends on your Subskills. And we can have a look at those. So we have to switch out the Heracross here for the Vaporeon. And we can quickly have a look at some of the Subskills. For the most part, I would say you want to preserve, let's just skip that part. You want to keep your main skill seeds for the S tier skill specialists. Now, I don't know exactly where to put Vaporeon. I would say probably it's up there. If not S tier, it's definitely an A tier Pokemon. And so, to an extent, you can consider finding one with skill level up M. We can just clear out this real quick, and then we can have a clean slate for the skill specialist. Haven't really talked too much about this, so this will probably be important. And then we have some of these skill up natures. Let's have a look. I guess we can have a look at... That was exactly the wrong one. You don't want the column. It's speed of help down, but if we find a somewhat similar nature to Calm... Oh, it disappeared for me here. What about Careful? That one's pretty decent, especially considering the fact that for a lot of the skill specialists, having the berry finding is a big deal because you have the 1 in the base value for the berry. So berry finding S is a 100% increase to the berry productivity. And with an ingredient drop rate of 20, that's going to be a big deal for the Vaporeon. So to an extent, you almost want to prioritize the berry finding on the Vaporeon, and then you want the skill trigger, skill trigger M. Now, if you somehow can find this combo, then you would be very, very set. You want the skill up nature. If you can find ingredient down, that could be pretty powerful as well in the combo with berry finding S. And then the other thing that is worth mentioning here with the Vaporeon is it's fairly slow. It's not super slow, it's just decent. So getting that 14% increase is gonna mean a lot of minutes cut off your overall time. So these are some of the best things you can look for in a skill specialist. Potentially also the helping bonus, I guess, but for the most part, look for the berry finding on Vaporeon. It is an important Pokemon. And then honorable mention, skill trigger S. Skill trigger S, Skill trigger S is another big deal, like 18% increase. That is a big deal. If you can find berry finding S, I would say the helping speed M is more important than the skill trigger S. But yeah, obviously this is the hopes and dreams scenario. You're not gonna find this Eevee in the wild. So yeah, but overall these are the worthwhile subskills and some of the natures. I don't have that second sheet brought up, but I do think it would be worthwhile to cover this as well. Yeah, there we go. So we can quickly just discuss this as well. Wait, where did it go? There we go, found it. Excuse the wait. So if we quickly go over some of the natures as well, Gentle is a good one. This one is main skill chance up, energy recovery down, and then we have Sassy. It's decent. EXP down is not particularly strong. And then we can have a look at the Careful nature. Well, we just looked at that one, didn't we? We also have Calm. We did have a look at that one. Speed of help down, not too good. And then we just have some of the general, like Lonely is typically a good one. Speed of help up is always nice. Adamant could be good. Wait, that was like just completely wrong. Adamant. Then you would stack with the berry finding quite nicely. Naughty is a bad nature. So Naughty is naughty on a skill specialist, and you can see why. And then you also don't want Lax. It's a bad one. Main skill chance down, just kills it. We also have Rash, not good, and Naive is not good. So we've gone over some of these scenarios. Then we have to consider all of the other Pokemon that have Ingredient Magnet S as their main skill. I think the other Pokemon, aside from Vaporeon, where Ingredient Magnet really makes sense, is the Walrein. Because Walrein is a really good... Wait, I thought it had 3%. That's the skill trigger rate. I really have to double check if that is correct or not. Because that is a big deal. Let's see here. We have the Walrein. Just double checking RaenonX. Yeah, it is 2.2. That was surprising. I had misremembered that one, but it is what it is. 2% is decent. It's not reliable, and for the most part, the berry specialists prefer the sneaky snacking. And during sneaky snacking, you don't really get to trigger your main skill, and you also don't really get to stock up on more ingredients, because getting berries is what you want. The other Pokemon to mention here with the Ingredient Magnet S is... I wanted to compare it to Venusaur. Yes, it's basically the same in terms of the skill trigger rate. And so I would say my Venusaur probably pops maybe once a day, twice if I'm lucky. And at that point, I'm getting what? 42 ingredients over the course of a whole day, 24 hours. And at that point, you're gonna find a lot more ingredients and the exact ingredients that you want. If you rather go for the other strategies that we've talked about in other videos, where you want the double or triple of the same ingredient. So we have covered Walrein. We have covered Venusaur. Now, Walrein as a whole is interesting just because it is a really, really, really good berry specialist. So to an extent, it's so good you can run multiple of them. We've seen Spiel's strategy in my daily videos, and essentially you can have a healer and for Walrein and just pop it. And at that point, if you have level 3, 4, 5 maybe main skill on the ingredient magnet, you're actually going to find a decent chunk of ingredients, and you can cook some basic dishes over time where your berry collecting is the main strategy. So Walrein, definitely a Pokemon to consider. Venusaur is decent, but overall focus on the honey as emphasized in other videos. Another Pokemon that I just see now that is surprising, it is the Steelix that has the 3%. I forgot. All right. Yes, this is a big deal. 3%, that is 50% more frequent than 2% at the same speed. So I would say for Steelix, which has one of the highest berry values in the game, ingredient magnets may be a bigger deal. But the downside here, which should be obvious if you've seen it, it has one evolution. So this ingredient magnet, before you boost it, if you even consider boosting it, it's a berry specialist, so go for the berries, not for the skill. It's going to be level 2, so it's going to be weaker. So that's probably why it's compensated a little bit here with a skill rate, because for the most part, you're not going to dump your main skill seeds into a Steelix, because it says berries there. Okay, then I think for the most part, the rest of these are just funny Pokemon. So we can quickly go through those just so that you are familiar with all of them. We have the Charizard, 1.6% on the skill trigger rate, which is very low. Now you've gotten a range. Vaporeon is 6%, which is 4 times that. And it being a skill specialist, once you start stacking the Subskills to align with that as well, you can probably get it up to like 12%, something like that. And that is going to be a big deal. Maybe not 12, but at the very least like 9 or 10. Okay, we got Blastoise, another Pokemon. These are ingredients specialists, but don't get confused. Ingredient Magnet is a skill, even though it has ingredient in the name. So you should go for maybe a triple milk here, maybe a double milk and cacao, maybe milk, cacao, milk. On the Charizard, you really want the sausage. It's just a really good mono sausage. But even a sausage, double ginger, perfectly fine. And these are pretty fast Pokemon. Then we can have a look at the Butterfree. I have Butterfree with Ingredient Magnet S level 5. Don't ask me about it. Kangaskhan, another Pokemon. We did cover Eevee, so I'm not gonna go back on that one. We have the Delibird. And we have the Slacking. So we've covered all the Pokemon. I hope you found this video helpful. Please leave a comment if you have any questions, and I'll make sure to get back to you. You can leave a like on the video as well. And hope you learned something. Have a good day.